After a long bit of waiting, patch 1.1 has just dropped for Cyberpunk 2077. And today we're going to be going through these patch notes real quick. This is your first time on my channel. The way I like to do this is front load the information, and then you can stick around for the patch notes if you so wish. So some big overhauls with 1.1 are mainly performance based. What they really focused on is drilling down on optimizing memory usage across both the PC and the Xbox versions. The PlayStation versions really kind of focus more on the crashes. I will say though that the actual Xbox version, its patch size is huge. I think it was something like 16 gigs. So if you have an Xbox, try and get that thing on to start downloading the patch. It just came out an hour ago. So 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you want to really know that. But outside of that though, really, again, this is about optimization. There wasn't a whole ton of additions to the game or anything like that. They said they were going to do that after they kind of fixed some of the issues that were wrong. Also, there's a lot of the save games have been retweaked when it comes to the PC version of the game. So if you have any of those corrupted saves, they unfortunately will not work, but it will prevent your save from getting corrupted in the future now. Those sizes have been reduced. In addition, there's quite a few quest bugs that were fixed. So some of the ones that were just dead ending and weren't allowing you to fix them or complete them, they have now been retooled or fixed so that they can now be properly completed. And I guess the only other real big thing of this patch is the way that PC performance has fluctuated with this one. I've noticed that prior to the patch, I was getting a really nice solid 60 frames a second. I'm kind of struggling to hit a good 60 frames a second when I'm in the middle of a very crowded city street, when they said that that's not really supposed to be the case. It's supposed to be optimized this time around. So maybe I need to do some tweaking. But I will say, if you do not have DLSS on your graphics card, the game is now playable at higher resolution or higher graphical setting. Whereas prior to this patch, if I turned off DLSS, the game would just be a slog. And I'm running an RTX 3080. So that should give you an idea of the kind of rig I'm running and how the DLSS was having a huge, huge impact on the performance of the game. But that's really your down and dirty here. That's the first 2 minutes of this video. So you can go ahead and shut the video down if you so wish. Before you do, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, all that kind of action. It does help me out with the YouTube algorithm. But for those of you that want to stick around as we go into the patch notes themselves, they're really not that big. This is a pretty bare bones patch note video, because in all honesty, I think that there's a lot of under the hood optimization that they just didn't include in the patch notes. I did notice the game responds a lot faster. It's a lot crisper. There was a lot of input lag in the base version of the game and the 2 or 3 subsequent hotfixes that seems to be eliminated. The game responds a lot quicker when I'm navigating through menus or when I'm trying to shoot things or even just drive cars. And it kind of like, it tripped me up. When I went to play the game, I was slamming into walls because the input lag is not as drastic as it was before. So that is a pretty big hidden quote unquote patch note that's just not in this. They really tighten the bolts on things when it comes to moving around everything in the game world, and it feels a lot nicer, a little bit more like it's supposed to in a sci-fi dystopic world. But let's go here and take a look at what we have got for the patch notes. They kind of just outline this here too by just saying like, hey, our focus was on stability and improvements there before jumping into anything big. If you have not watched the video where they kind of outline the future of the game, you've got patch 1.1 right now. They're going to be doing another one with patch 1.2. They didn't give us a real timeline for when 1.2 comes out, so hopefully we'll get a timeline on that soon. But then they're going to start releasing the free content that they did just like for Witcher 3. So let's jump in here through some of the other stuff. I've highlighted in green all the cool things, highlighted in red all the not so cool things. And for stability, memory usage improvements in various systems within the game. Characters, interactions, navigation, in-game videos, news, TV, etc. Foliage, laser effects, minimap devices, AI, street traffic, environmental damage system, GPU related, and more. So what this really means is when you play the game, I think this is where the input lag was coming in. I think maybe the RAM was getting so overloaded on both the VRAM and the actual consistent RAM, and things were just not responding quickly. Like I said, it's a lot crisper movement. You're going to feel a little bit of it feels honestly like a difficulty hike to me, because everything responded so much quicker. The enemies moved faster. I wasn't able to really get around them as quick because they were just moving a lot faster. And on top of it, the effects in the game looked a lot sharper. Now, this could be me tweaking with the visual and graphical effects, so please take that part with a grain of salt. I was doing a lot of tweaking to try and get a solid 60 frames a second, so maybe I did something different and that had its effect. But various crash fixes related to, among others, loading saves, game opening and closing, and point of no return. One of the biggest optimizations here is that you can load an autosave without issue. This was fixed, I think, a patch or two ago, but now I have noticed that this is no longer an issue. A patch or two ago, they said that they fixed it, but I was noticing some autosaves were still having issue. I'm waiting for them to add a feature to curb the amount of autosaves. I'm really excited for that, hopefully in the future. But a lot of various crash fixes. As far as quests, I would say look for a specific quest that you are having an issue with and see if it's in this list. I've highlighted ones that I know are pretty common issues or ones that people have talked about a lot, so you can see that on here. Fix an issue where calls from Delamain would end immediately and seem like they cannot be picked up in epistrophe. A couple little changes here to epistrophe. People seem to have a lot of issues with it. There's one patch note here, and there's another one here at the bottom. So epistrophe has had a lot of fixes gone on with it as well. But retrofixed the saves affected by a rare issue where speaking to Judy in Automatic Love would be impossible due to an invisible wall. The underlying issue is under investigation. So if you have this, there has been a retro fix for you, so you should hopefully now have that fixed in your game. Fix an issue that prevented players from collecting the reward in Gig Freedom of the Press. The quest will autocomplete for those who could not collect the reward previously, and the reward will be provided automatically. So again, if you've had that, you didn't get it, you will now receive that, which is a nice little ditty right there. Moving into the UI, fix an issue where prompt for exiting a brain dance could be missing. This happened to me when I was doing the very first brain dance tutorial. I was not able to exit out of it. I had to reboot the game, and it kind of pissed me off because there's that whole brain dance tutorial sequence is not the fastest portion of the game. I'll say that. So removed an invalid item from loot. I don't know what that meant, but it's there. So if that applies to you, it is there. The visual and achievement tweaks, mainly with the jungle achievement seems to be completable. It wasn't completing. But here's a big one here for miscellaneous. Address the issue responsible for saves getting oversized, related to the modifier indicating if the item is crafted, and trimmed the excess size from already existing saves. Note, this won't fix PC save files corrupted before 1.06 update. So if you have had a save file corrupted, you unfortunately cannot recover that, period, is what it looks like. So you're going to have to just restart, or hopefully have a different save you can roll back to. If you were waiting for this patch to hopefully be the one that God sends you into fixing your save, unfortunately, they do not have that problem. And that's honestly why I kind of put the brakes on putting too much time into Cyberpunk. I didn't want to end up having a broken save. And it looks like if that was your gate, it has now been lifted. Go have at it. Fix an issue where input could stop registering upon opening the weapon wheel and performing an action. So if you want to open your weapon wheel by holding down the Alt button, and you want to select a specific weapon, sometimes it just would not select, or it would just close the wheel with no issue, or with issue. So now that has been fixed. It will work properly. I've done like 400 times to make sure it actually properly registers, so it does. Very nice. Now, as far as console specific changes we get here, PlayStation specific, performance optimization of crowds on a PS4 Pro and a PS5, and various crash fixes on the PS4 Standard Edition. Now, as far as the Xbox goes, improved memory usage for character creation, mirrors, scanning, camera remote control, menus, inventory map on Xbox One, Xbox One X, and Xbox One S. So pretty much the, I guess we call it previous gen or next. Is it current gen and the next gen? Is that what we're calling it now? Well, all your Xbox One flavors seem to have been fixed up here. Now with PC specific, you can now get your achievements in offline mode, but address the game startup crashes related to loading cache on NVIDIA graphics cards. One word of caution here, when you boot your game up for the first time, it's probably going to take some time for it to finish booting up all the way. Let it do its thing. I think that is scrubbing out the saves or whatever it is, rebuilding the cache file. I have no idea. I'm not as smart as I sound. So Give it some time. I noticed the first boot up took me a little bit of time. I played the game a little bit. I shut it down and rebooted it to see if that was a reoccurring issue I was going to start facing. And it has seemed to only have been that very first time. So if it seems frozen, just let it do its thing and it will completely push itself all the way through to the main menu and you should be good to go. I mean, but honestly, other than that, we're pretty much done. That is all of the patch notes here for patch 1.1, the very first, I guess, major patch or performance overhaul for Cyberpunk 2077. I will say, like I said, I didn't notice any crash differences, but at the same time, I had very minimal crashes on the base game. I will say too, though, that the game, like I said plenty of times in this video, is much sharper, reacts much faster, and I have noticed that it looks a lot cleaner when I'm playing. Shutting off DLSS and being able to play the game at, I guess, its native resolution without it dynamically changing is really nice. The game looks cleaner. It doesn't have that kind of frayed, fuzzy edges around it that DLSS kind of places on the visual quality of the game to kind of dynamically shift. So it is a nicer, cleaner look. But like I said, I have not been able to hit a nice, good, clean 60 frames a second. I didn't spend the most time on graphics, but you will be spending some time retooling and checking those things out because I think a lot of these optimizations either freed up or took up some resources depending upon what your GPU is. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what you're experiencing with patch 1.1. Is it working for you? Is it not working for you? Are there some things that did work before but now are just catastrophically broken? Let it be known in the comment section. I like to try to disseminate as much information out to the grander community so they can get answers to any problems that they do run into. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.